the Sumerians and Egyptians. About 450,000 years ago, the Anunnaki helped in the genetic upgrading of human beings. Now, this would explain why the Homo erectus just all of a suddenly upgraded in his genetic species straight to a Homo sapien. Now, this would explain exactly why. Anthropology and its science will coincide exactly with what our ancestors have written in the Sumerian text and in the pyramid text and in hieroglyphics. Now, coming up to date, skipping that, now you have black people on the planet, and due to not extraterrestrial interference, but I would say ancestral assistance, now we are what you call Negroid or Africanoid or African. This is now you have the African race in full effect on the planet. Now I'm gonna skip thousands of years and bring it up to date and get to up to date history. So now what you have is, let's start at 1486 BC. 1486 BC, black people was well alive and functioning on this planet fully. Now we're going to start in India. I'm going to skip Africa for a minute. In India, a group of black people or African people were exiled for actually studying, or let's just say worshiping idols. And by worshiping idols, I don't mean other multi-gods. I mean they lost the knowledge of themselves as God and themselves being one with the Creator. So they were actually exiled because they started practicing crazy things that you see like the Mayans doing. Blood sacrifice, chop your head off and roll down the stairs, all kind of crazy shit. So these were the first what you call Indians because they come from the continent of India. That don't mean that they're an Indian. It's just a person given the name of a geographical location. White people gave them this name and it stuck with them. Because how can you have Indians in North America, but they don't live in India, they live in North America? Oh, maybe because they were exiled from India in 4086 BC and came across America and South America and began to inhabit these lands, as well as Africans who migrated from Africa and began to inhabit these lands, and you still call them Indian, just like I live in America, but you still call me African. So that is black people. Basically, we spread across the globe, and there's more to this story of us spreading across the globe, but I'm not going to that. This is a brief cover of history. Now we go into the lost city of Atlantis. The lost city of Atlantis it sunk around 9,600 BC, and the area today known as the Bermuda Triangle, due to black people developing a high-powered crystal which pulled too much of the ocean towards it using gravity manipulation, and it sunk itself. You can look it up. The lost city of Atlantis is an African civilization, and the Bermuda Triangle was actually caused by the pyramids that were in the lost city of Atlantis underneath the water in that specific location to this very day, still opening up a vortex due to the crystal still being active during certain times of the year. You can look this up. So now we had 9,600 BC. Now, and that's not that long ago, people. That's only about 11,000 years ago. Now let's go to another black ancient civilization, the Sumerians, who let's just say they started around 55,000 BC to 4,000 BC. The Sumerians was another black African civilization who all in their texts speak of Enki and Ninti and the Anunnaki and ancestral beings coming down. They have paintings of what you call Nibiru, which looks like another planet or Planet X, but is really the mothership. The ancient Sumerians speak of the Nibiru's cycle, which takes approximately 360 years coming back around. And this is where you get prophecy coming from, and the fallen angels are going to return, and blah, blah, blah. Now, this is in the year 5,500. BC. Sumerian civilization. Go Google them. I'm not going to go into depth, but I'm just briefly covering black history. Now we still here. I just went from 76 trillion years ago of us manifesting ourselves, upgrading ourselves, and bringing us down to 5,500 BC, and it's still no Caucasian. It's still before the Caucasian. Now, in the year 4719 BC, a being named Yakub, who, if you go on Google, if you go on YouTube, and you type in Black Guys Revealed 2015, it's a video on there that tells you everything about the Shiyuks that live under the ground and who their parents were and how they gave birth to Yakub. So I'm not going to go into that right now, but you can go watch it on YouTube. Now, Yakub was born 4719 BC. He had, let's just say, skipping his reasons why, go watch the video, you'll see. Now, Yaqub is the one, his name means supplanter. He's the one who genetically manufactured the white race. Now, when he turned 33 years old, he took a group of people from what you would call Mecca today, which is by Arabia, and he took them to the island of Pelan, which in the Bible is called Patmos. In the Bible, white people have changed Yaqub's name to Jacob. So Jacob in the Bible is Yaqub, who created the white race, and that's why his verse is in Genesis, because Genesis in the dictionary means the origin or production or something. Yaqub or Jacob is responsible for the origin and production of the white race, and I'll go into that in a minute. Now, where you get the word Satan from, Shaitan, Shayton. Shaitan is an Arabic word which means white or weak and wicked. So Shaitan was just transferred into Satan. That's why you call Satan the devil. That's why you call the white man the devil. Now, in the year 4686 BC, Yaqub and his followers began to construct the white race. How did they do it? They took an albino who has zero pigmentation, and they did sexual selections. They only allow certain people to have sex with each other with the albino. And of course, when a black person and a white person has a baby, as you see today, the baby comes out lighter. So now you take that lighter baby, and then you make it have sex with another albino until it keeps becoming lighter and lighter and lighter. So what Yaqub did was he took 12-and-a-half-year-old girls, and what he did was 12 and a half is 16 shades in each of the I'm skipping my words. The black germ has 48 shades, right? Black, brown, and yellow. Each shade has 16. 16 black, 16 brown, 16 yellow. So with a 12-and-a-half-year-old girl, every 200 years, if you do 12 and a half times 16, it will equal 200. So impregnating 12 only allowing 12-and-a-half-year-old girls to get impregnated by albinos not only kept weakening the black person's gene because it kept coming out lighter and lighter, but every 200 years, 16 shades of the gene will be grafted. So the first 200 years, he destroyed the black gene. The next 200 years, he destroyed the black gene. The next 200 years, he destroyed the brown gene. Now we have 400. Then the last 600 years, he was at the he destroyed the yellow gene, black, brown, and yellow. Now we're at white, and this is where a white person comes from. So now we went from 4686 minus 600, 4086 BC. In 4086 BC, white people, long story short, came to Africa. Africans was like, oh hell no, and ran them to the Caucasus Mountains. This is why they call Caucasians, because they spent 2,000 years in the Caucasus Mountains. Now let me make sure I'm not going on and going off too far. So now white people spent 2,000 years in the Caucasus Mountains, and they eventually came out in approximately 2086 BC, when whoever you want to call Moses or whoever you want to say helped them escape from the Caucasus Mountains and civilized them. White people were actually walking on all fours like monkeys. Black people, we taught them how to talk, how to read, and literally how to walk on 2 legs. They were walking on all fours like monkeys. So now, white people were created in order to bring a certain negative polarity to the planet Earth for 6,000 years. And this will come into play later on in this bill. So now, we had 2086 BC. Now the Caucasian has now been on our planet for 2,000 years, from 4086 BC to 2086 BC. Now they were created to cause confusion and bring chaos and bring a certain negative polarity into the world for 6,000 years, because black people, we were going through a universal spiritual karma, you could say. And the Bible actually reveals this, and I'm finna grab my Bible right now. Revelations chapter 20, verse 7. You see me going to it. Hold on one second. Chapter 20, verse 7. Where it go? Chapter 20, verse 7. In the Bible, I'm about to read it. It says, And when the thousand year expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, together to battle, to number whom is the sand of the sea. Satan, remember, comes from the Arabic word which means shaitan, which means white, weak, and wicked. So when white people came out them Caucasus Mountains, they did exactly what the Bible said they was going to do in their own book, and exactly what they was created to do. Deceive the nations, bring everybody to war, and create chaos. Now, not staying on that as much as I really want to, I'm going to continue. Now we at according to the destruction of black civilization, it says Egypt was started 3100 BC. I like to think it was started before then, but let's just say 3100 BC, right? The Hyksos, which people refer to as the white people, are the Hyksos are just the white people who are sneaking out of the Caucasus Mountains and coming over to Egypt. The Hyksos come out of the caves, point blank period. They destroy Egypt. But before I get into them destroying Egypt, Plato, Socrates, all your false Greek philosophers were educated by African, Egyptian, intelligent beings, and 100% of Greek philosophy is stolen. Read Stolen Legacy. It will explain this to you thoroughly. Socrates, anybody you want to name, was educated in Egypt. Greece was actually like a baby school or an extension of an African university. The Africans were actually teaching the Greeks, and the Africans actually have a quote where they told the Greeks, you are but children in the knowledge of the mystery. So the Greeks was our sons, and we was teaching them. And white people sit here in college and universities and teach false Greek philosophies, and Socrates and Plato was so great when they learned and stole all of their information from my black ancestors in Egypt. But now, long story short, white people destroy Egypt. They blow the nose off the Sphinx. Later on down the line, as you can see, they chisel faces. They remix stories, and they destroy the very source from which they were taught. But now, jumping over to China real quick, I want to let y'all know in 1500 BC, the first Chinese emperor name was Shang Tang. He created the Shang dynasty. Go look him up. So the yellow man that Yakub grafted